So today we're going to do a Yin style class, and we have a block for a prop, a bolster for a prop, a blanket for a prop, and you can have as many as you want, but we're just using a couple for today. This is Rebecca. She's going to be demonstrating for us today, and every pose will be held 3 to 5 minutes, and I'll time them, and we're just going to take it easy this first time. So, starting with some warm-ups, we're going to take our left ear towards our left shoulder. Remembering that everything you feel during a pose is valid. If you feel a sharp pain, we're going to back out of that and find a modification. But if it's a little bit of discomfort, we're going to see if we can use our breathing and get through it. So the head comes back to center, right ear towards right shoulder. So just allow your head to be heavy. You don't have to force it down. Just allow it to be heavy. Coming back to the center, chin towards chest. And once your chin is forward, you can gently rock your head from side to side if that feels good. So between each pose, you'll have an opportunity to stretch, and I'd really like you to experiment with stretching to see what movements feel good for you between poses. Bringing our head back to the center, looking up at the ceiling, jutting our lower jaw forward as if we had bulldog teeth, and shoulders come back and down. Throughout class, we're going to see if we can keep our breathing nice and steady. If we're holding our breath, we're holding tension somewhere. So we're going to try to keep that flowing easy. Coming back to the center, we're going to take our left hand to our right knee, right hand behind us, and open up for a twist. In a Yin class, we're working more with joints and connective tissues than we are with muscles. So we're going to try to let our muscular effort go as much as possible. Coming back to the center, right hand to left knee, left hand behind, and opening for the twist. Coming back to the center, we're just going to walk our hands forward for a little bit of a forward fold while we're sitting in this easy pose. We're not quite warmed up, so just go as far as is comfortable for you until you feel that stretch. And gently walking your hands back towards your body, and we're going to come on to hands and knees for a little bit more stretching before we get going. So we're going to work through cat-cow, and I'd like you to use your breath to work through it. The exhale is cat, where you're arching your back, tucking your tailbone, chin tucks under. The inhale is cow, where we're dropping our belly, tailbone lifts, shoulders come back. So working through with your breath. The exhale is cat. And the inhale is cow. So move through about 3 of these, just starting to get warmed up. So maybe one more cat-cow. Coming back to a neutral tabletop, keeping the belly lifted. And we're going to look over the left shoulder at the left hip or foot. Coming back to the center, looking over the right shoulder, really stretching through the right side. the left side. Coming back to the center one more time over the left. Back to center, last time to the right. Back to center. Moving through a couple of hip circles, so maybe about 3 one direction, about 3 the other. You can make them as big or as small as you want to. And then we're going to get ready for our first pose. So our first pose is wide knee child. So if you want to fold a blanket and put it under your knees, you can always do that. Otherwise, the knees come apart, big toes will be touching. Hands are going to walk out in front just a little bit and sinking the hips back down towards the heels. So sometimes if it's not comfortable to bring your hips all the way back by your heels, you can always take a bolster and put it behind the knees, and it just gives you a little bit to rest on coming back. So I'll let Rebecca decide what she chooses. And we'll stay here for just over 3 minutes. In a yin practice, one of the things that we're trying to work on for our whole yoga practice is finding one point of concentration. There are several ways to work on this. One way is to follow your breathing, following it in through the nose, feel the lungs filling, and then following it out. So just concentrating on that one thing. Your breathing is one method. Another method is to use a mantra or a favorite saying to repeat to yourself while you're in the pose. I like to use the word hum sa. So I do hum on the inhale, sa on the exhale. Hum, sa. That one thing to concentrate on. Another method is to use a visualization. So you can imagine maybe a lake, and the water in that lake is clear. It's calm. There are no waves on the surface of that lake. So allowing your mind to match that lake, making it clear and calm. No thought waves in your mind. So 3 methods: your breathing, a mantra, or a visualization to help calm your mind and control all those thoughts that swirl around all day. So Rebecca has about 15 minutes left in this posture. Or seconds. So she'll take an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, bringing herself back to tabletop position. And then she's going to stretch however feels good to her. That might be down dog. It might be more hip circles. It might be one leg stretched out behind her at a time, pushing into the heel. Whatever feels good for you. We're going to get ready to move into our second pose, which is going to be Sphinx pose. So Rebecca's going to come all the way down onto her stomach, and she's going to lay all the way down first. So here she's just going to take a couple of seconds to check in with her body and see how she's feeling. Are there any areas that are holding on to some tension? And in this pose, directing your breathing towards those areas. On the exhale, ask them to let go. So Rebecca will take a nice inhale to prepare. Her chin is on the mat. Her hands will come to the outsides of her shoulders. And on the exhale, she's going to walk her elbows up in front of her, coming into Sphinx pose. So the closer your elbows are to your body, the more compression you might feel in your lower back. So you can always walk your elbows out in front of you a little bit to get a little bit of lengthening. You can also imagine your tailbone pushing towards the wall behind you to feel a little bit more lengthening. And Rebecca's going to find the position that works best for her. So we have 3 minutes here. Again, finding that object of concentration. The Yoga Sutras are the writings from which we get most of our information about our practice. And Yoga Sutra 2 says, yoga is achieved by cessation of thought waves in the mind. So finding that one object of concentration to clear out all those other thought waves. So in this posture, in Sphinx pose, we're really looking for that lengthening along the spine. It's also a back bend, but we're really trying to reach through the feet and reach through the crown of the head to feel as much lengthening as we can in that back bend. We have about 30 seconds left in this pose. Taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, winging your elbows out to the side and coming down to rest on your hands. And then you can bend your knees, lifting your feet in the air, and windshield wiper back and forth, just bringing some movement back into the low back and the hips. We're going to get ready to move to our next pose, which is wall figure 4. So Rebecca's going to come back up, and she's going to find a seat against the wall with her left hip against the wall. Legs will be straight out. And then as gracefully as possible, she's coming down onto her back. Legs are swinging up the wall. And hips are as close to the wall as she can get them. And then we're going to bend our knees so our feet are flat against the wall. Take an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, push your feet into the wall to lift your hips. Left foot comes off the wall, crosses over the right knee, and we're gently going to sink down. So you see Rebecca made a slight movement away from the wall, and that's a good adjustment for her. Another adjustment you might make is to put a prop under your hips and resting down on it. In this posture, we want to let go of as much effort as we can and just allow our body to be in the pose. So Rebecca, would you like that? Stay. In this pose, Rebecca's working with her piriformis muscle. Your piriformis muscle attaches on the inside of your pelvic basket, and it comes out, around, and attaches to the outside of your thigh bone on your greater trochanter. So you can imagine how it stretches from the inside of that pelvic basket to the outside of the thigh bone, coming up and in. This is the same stretch as if you were doing pigeon on the floor. If your knee bothers you, your left knee, you can always flex your foot, flex your toes towards your knee, and that'll alleviate some knee pain if that's happening for you. So we have about 30 seconds left on this side. So taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, pushing the right foot into the wall to lift the hips. Left foot comes back to the wall. And you can stretch however you feel like stretching. That might be hugging your knees in, a little rock back and forth. It might be keeping your legs up and a little bit of frog legs. Whatever movement feels good to you. And then we'll be ready to go into the other side. So feet will come to the wall. Taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, push the feet in. Right foot comes off the wall and sinking the hips down. Knowing that one side might feel completely different from the other. And that's okay, we just use our props to modify our pose as we need to. So once again, finding that one object of concentration. Follow your breathing, use a mantra, or a visualization. We have about 30 seconds left here. Taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, pushing the left foot into the wall to lift the hips. Right foot comes back. And stretch however you feel like stretching. And before we move to the next posture, I'd like you to roll over onto your right side and just take a moment right there. Just another quick little check-in to see how you're doing. And then as you feel ready, gently making your way back to a seated position on your mat. So we're going to move into a nobility forward fold. So Rebecca's going to bring the soles of her feet together. And she's just going to allow her knees to be heavy. And you can always use props to support the legs in this posture. And then she'll inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. So going only as far as is just to the edge of being uncomfortable in this pose. And you can use your breathing to assist you on this pose. On the inhale, you can imagine lengthening your upper body, and on the exhale, grounding down, so that with every breath, you might find just a millimeter more ease in the pose. The sutras tell us the posture should be steady and comfortable. So finding that place in your pose where you can hold steady and yet still find a sense of ease in your body. You can find ease in your body. It'll help bring ease to your breathing and again, ease to your mind. So follow your breathing in a forward fold. about 30 seconds left here. Taking an inhale to prepare, looking forward to flatten your back out a little bit, and then walking yourself back upright. And take any stretch in between that might feel good. Sometimes leaning back a little windshield wiper, yep, Rebecca's got it. And then we're going to move into a reclined posture, which is reclined half bull. So she'll take a bolster or two bolsters and a blanket, really whatever your body feels is best in this posture. And you're going to put it long ways behind you. And totally dependent on how your knees are feeling is where your feet are going to go. So one option is for your left heel to come towards your left hip. So that would be one option. If your knee says not today for that, you can always bring the sole of your foot to the inside of your thigh. So those are or you could always leave your legs straight out because we're thinking about this being a hip opener, or a chest opener too. So Rebecca's going to take the posture that feels best for her today. And then she'll take an inhale to prepare, exhale, reclining back. So since this is a heart opening pose, her palms are going to be towards the ceiling. And she's going to think about just allowing her shoulders to melt around that prop behind her. So this is a good pose to see how much you can let go. Let go of effort, let go of thoughts, just allowing your body to be in the pose. We have 30 seconds here. inhale to prepare. On the exhale, gently bringing yourself back upright. And you'll unfold your knee however it was folded. Give it a little bit of attention. Whatever movement feels good for you. And then we'll get ready for the other side. So again, the heel to the hip or to the inside or leg straight up. Take an inhale. On the exhale, coming back. Palms are turned towards the ceiling, upper body melting around those props. And once you find yourself in the pose, find that one object of concentration, your breathing, the mantra, or a visualization, and allow that to be the one thing in your mind. Seconds here. So in this pose, again, working as a heart opener, working the joints in the knee, opening them up, allowing that connective tissue to get some fluid. Taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, bringing yourself back upright. Unfolding the leg, give that knee a little bit of attention. And then we'll remove the props from behind us. And we're going to come all the way down onto our back. So we're going to work with a pose called banana. Yeah, you don't want to be too close to the wall for this one. So we're going to inhale, arms overhead. Grab opposite elbows and allow your arms to just rest for a moment on the floor. And then your upper body is going to lift off the mat and shift to the right and set back down. And then your lower body is going to walk over, right leg first and then the left leg. We're going to think about hips and shoulders staying on the ground. We don't want to roll over onto one side. So, in this posture, we're working with the connective tissue and muscles between each rib, the intercostal muscles. We're working with the IT band that runs from the top of your hip crest all the way down the outside of the leg. And one option Rebecca just did is to cross the left foot over the right ankle. We're also working the QL muscles, the quadratus lumborum, on our back. We have one on each side of our back over the kidneys. And all day long, those two muscles fight for control of our upper body and lower body. The top of it is attached to the bottom rib, and the bottom of the muscle is attached to the top of your hip crest. And so all day long, they're controlling, trying to get control of upper body and lower body. So in this stretch, she is stretching the left QL while the right QL is relaxing. .30 seconds here. Taking an inhale to prepare, uncrossing the foot first, and then moving your body back to a long position and taking whatever stretch might feel good to you in between times. As you're ready, inhaling, arms overhead, grabbing opposite elbows, relaxing for a moment. And then our upper body is going to lift off the mat and tip to the left. Lower body is going to walk over to join it. Hip and shoulders stay on the ground. And if you'd like to cross that right foot over the left ankle, as long as your hip and shoulders stay on the ground. You can go as deep in this pose. You can also back out of it a little bit if you need to. So finding the depth of pose that's most comfortable for you. And again, using your breathing, a mantra, or a visualization. 30 seconds here. Taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, uncrossing the foot first and moving your body back to a long position. Take whatever stretch feels good to you. And for the next pose, we're going to use a block. It's going to be a supported bridge. So just making sure you have one within reaching distance of you. So we're going to bend our knees. Hands are down at our sides. Taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, lifting the hips. The block is going to go under the sacrum. We want to keep it low on the sacrum, not up on the lumbar spine. So find a level that is comfortable for you. And today, we're just going to stay right here. Another day, we'll think about raising our feet towards the ceiling. But for today, we're going to stay right here. An important thing to remember in an inversion where you have weight in your shoulders and neck is you want to keep your eyes pointed towards the ceiling. We have delicate arteries, the carotid artery, one of them, in our neck, and if you turn your head with weight in your shoulders and neck, you could pinch that artery. So one thing to remember in an inversion is always keep your eyes towards the ceiling. We'll be here for just 30 more seconds. We don't stay in supported bridge for the full 3 minutes. So Rebecca will take an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, her hips will lift. She'll take the block out from under. Hips will come back down. And she's going to take whatever stretch feels good to her. It might be, excuse me, knees into the chest. It might be happy baby. Whatever feels good for her. And then we're going to move into a reclined spinal twist. There are 2 different ways you can do this posture, and we'll demonstrate both. So one way is to bend your knees and walk your feet out to the wide edges of your mat. And then windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And you can always stay on one side for a few seconds if it feels good. Another modification of this stretch is once you get to one side, you can always pick up the bottom foot and lay it on top of your knee just for a little bit more stretch that way. And after a few moments here, you can take that foot down, go to the other side, bottom foot lifts up onto the knee, and then coming back to the center. The second variation of this is feet will come back to the center of your mat, just like you were going to do bridge, maybe hip width apart though. And then she's going to lift up her hips and shift them to the right and set them down again. And then her feet and knees are coming off the mat towards her body, and she's going to lay them down to the left. The reason why we shift our hips in this reclined spinal twist is to keep our lumbar spine in line. Lumbar spine is not meant to twist. We want the twist to stay up in the torso, in the thoracic spine. Another thing to remember when we're coming out of a twist is we always want a nice big inhale back to the center, because the inhale is going to tighten up all those muscles along the spine that support it. So when Rebecca's ready, she's going to take a nice big inhale, legs are going to come back to the center on the inhale. Feet and knees set down, shift the hips back to the center, and then the hips will pick up and shift over to the left. Feet and knees come off towards her and down. So you can see here how her pelvis is straight up and down. If I put a block behind her, it's not tipping at all. So her lumbar spine is in line. All of the twist is happening right here in her thoracic spine. And again, to come back to the center, she's going to take a nice big inhale as everything comes back to support everything. Setting her feet down, shifting her hips back to the middle, and she's going to take whatever stretch feels good to her before we move into our final pose of Shavasana. So anything that you think you missed out on during class, you can take. And when she's ready, she's going to get ready for her Shavasana. So sometimes in Shavasana, a bolster under the knees feels good to help the lower back relax. Sometimes a blanket tucked around you is a good idea. So just making sure you are as comfortable as you can be. Sometimes a little wibble wobble back and forth to make sure you're in that perfect resting spot. So once you find your perfect resting spot, bringing your attention back to your breathing. Just following it in and out. You don't have to change it. And then allow your breathing to return back to natural state. That place where you don't have to think about it, it just happens. Feel your abdomen rise and fall. And imagine a soft blue sphere of peaceful energy there in your abdomen. Imagine that sphere of peaceful energy spreading throughout your body, sending soothing energy to every part. It fills every muscle, every bone, every organ, until every cell of your being is full of soothing energy and you're fully relaxed. Visualize your body full of peaceful, soothing energy. Allow all thought to be absorbed by the energy as you bathe in the peace for a moment. allowing that energy to stay spread throughout your body. Bring your attention back to your breathing. And allow your breathing to bring your awareness back to your body. Start with small movements of fingers and toes. Your head might go side to side. Just gradually allowing those movements to become slightly larger as your awareness comes back to your body. And when you feel ready, rolling over onto whatever side is most comfortable for you. Take a moment there